And here we go. Welcome to another session of Comms. Be more productive, protect your focus while making time for you. And we will hear today from Barry and Megan. And I will hand over word to Barry right now. So enjoy, guys. And if you have any questions, we will have the question and answer session at the end of the session. Barry, it's yours.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much, David. Thank you for being our host today and dealing with the technical elements behind the scenes. So yes, as David said, the conversation today, our focus is on how you can be more productive, how you can protect your focus and make time for you. I think we've got a lot going on in the world right now. We've got a lot going on with regards to technology. We're more connected than ever before. So it's important that we're able to prioritize. It's important that we're also able to switch off and maintain our well-being. So hopefully we've got some good content for you today that's going to help you personally, but hopefully also able to help you engage with your team and your colleagues and create some standards and give them some tools that will help them. Thank you ever so much to the sponsors of Commsverse and the organisers for putting on this fantastic event. They've certainly had a number of challenges getting off the ground. We were expecting to be at Mercedes-Benz World here in the UK, but they've pulled it out of the bag to do this online event, and we really do thank them and the sponsors for putting this on. As we said, my name is Barry Coombs. I'm Chief Technologist at Computerworld. We are a UK-based IT reseller and consultancy firm specialising in a number of different technologies, one of those being the modern Microsoft technologies, such as Microsoft Teams, modern management with Azure Active Directory and Intune, as well as things like VMware and data center technologies, user training and things like that. I'm also a mental health first aider. I believe it is important to look after yourself and those around you, and also I encourage those of us in the technical community to reach out, to be more human, to look after each other that little bit more. I'm also a blogger. I have been a blogger for the last 10 years, lucky enough to have been a VMware vExpert for the last 10 years as well, still chasing that Microsoft MVP title, and hopefully the more work I come and the more work I do with this fantastic community, that's something that I can aspire to in the future. I'm also joined today by Megan. Megan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. As Barry said, I am Megan Warren. I'm an adoption specialist working for Computerworld, so a lot of the stuff I do is working with users to help them understand the technology. I'm a mental health first aider as well, and part of me working with users to help them understand the technology is actually helping them understand how they can switch off from technology. We have it everywhere on our phones, on however many devices, so part of that is actually helping them switch off when they need to. We are running a prize draw throughout Commsverse, and it'll be the winner will be announced on tomorrow at 5 PM, where you could win a Lego Technic Land Rover, which I'm told is very well received and everyone really wants it. So if you'd like to enter our competition, scan the QR code or enter the address below and fill in your details, and we'll announce that tomorrow.
Fantastic. Bear with me, I'm switching between a few screens here. So in kind of doing a little bit of research behind this, I found some really interesting statistics, and I think this one actually came from Microsoft. And it says that it can take us up to 23 minutes to refocus after checking just one email or chat. I'd also like to add to that being interrupted by our children. Lots of us are working from home at the moment, from colleagues just coming over and wanting a chat. And this is something that certainly resonates with me. So being a business leader, being a chief technologist, regularly people are wanting a piece of my time. They're wanting to be asking questions, to be helping our customers, and just engaging in that social chat that is ever so important to us. But certainly in a world where we are more accessible than ever before, and the technologies that are available within inside Microsoft Teams, whilst are a fantastic benefit, are giving people new and interesting ways that they can contact with us. It can be very difficult to protect the focus that we've got, to make sure that we're spending time actually doing work and not just collaborating and conversing with others that are available to us. we get interrupted by a variety of different ways, and this is certainly something that I have struggled with and something that I'm trying to work on myself. We all have smart devices in our pockets where we're constantly getting notifications, like displayed on the screen here. We kind of see the amount of missed notifications we've received. Meetings, are they a distraction or are they a bonus? It seems that we have meetings about the meetings that are going to happen. Emails are constantly coming in and we end up being a slave to our inbox. Things end up coming in, pinging up on your screen, and all of a sudden you try and think, actually, what am I supposed to be doing at the moment? Because you've been distracted by those emails that have come in. And of course, that is further extended by chat and conversations. We've got calls that are ringing on our personal phone or works phone in Teams. We've got the pet running in the back. I'm waiting for my daughter to run in through the door at the moment. There's far too many distractions, but there's equally a large amount of benefits from these things. What is really important is that we're acknowledging it. We're thinking about what is important to us, and we're understanding of the technologies that are available to help us protect our time, to help us make sure we're focusing on what really matters at any time. And obviously, in this world where we are more connected, with all those bonuses, there are also the dangers that are associated with that. We generally can suffer from higher levels of stress. It maybe affects our moods. If we haven't been able to be productive, if we don't feel at the end of the day that we've achieved what we need to be able to achieve, could that affect our mood and how we converse with our families when we get home? And ultimately, are we spending our time being busy fools and not being productive as we should do? Now, maybe some of these things will be things that you resonate with. There's some things that maybe you are feeling. We've all been at those points where we're feeling like it's just becoming a little bit too much. And actually, I just wish I could escape for a little bit to get away from that constant drone of the conversation and notifications that are going on. So we need to be looking at this a slightly different way. And if we look back, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, and the types of work that we're doing, they're very different to the way that we're working today. Typically, those older roles were very much focused on achieving something, having a task list in front of us and getting away through it. Certainly looking at those maybe manufacturing type roles where at the end of the day, we had to create 20 widgets and 20 widgets was successful. But our lives today can be very much around being connected, collaborating, being in meetings, and it can become very difficult to understand when we're being successful and when we're not. And what does productivity truly look like? So let me pass across to Megan at this point to talk about how you can make sure that within inside Microsoft Teams, you can focus on what really matters.
Yeah, so when working with our clients and our users, the first thing that I get people to do as soon as they're in Teams is set their notifications. Teams is great for reducing the emails that are coming into your inbox, hopefully getting rid of that CC. I hate being CC'd on emails, and everyone that we speak to also does. So getting rid of that, but it does mean that a lot of notifications are coming through Teams, especially on conferences like this. I've had notifications coming and pinging up all day, and when you're trying to focus on something, it's really hard to not just stray away from that. So setting your notifications in Teams is a really great way to start and help you manage that, not inbox, but the notifications that are coming through on Teams. So going into your settings and saying if you want them to pop up from a banner or if you only want them to show in feed is the first thing to do. If there is somebody that you want to pop up, even if you are set as away or if you are busy, you can manage that priority access so that their calls, their messages and their notifications always come through no matter how busy or what status you are on. The next thing to do is to set your status. So if you are trying to get your head down working on something, just set your statuses away. That will stop the notifications coming through, means you get less distractions, and then you can just catch up when you're ready, when you finish that document you're working on or that call you're on, rather than getting distracted whilst you're in there. And as I said earlier, we've got every application we could ever wish for on every single device. Myself and Barry are terrible for having devices. I think I've probably got about 4 devices. He's probably got about 17, if I'm honest. And those notifications pop up. You have those pop-up notifications, and whilst you're trying to do something and that pops up, it's really hard not to pick up your phone and see what that is. So in Teams, setting your quiet hours, so that when you're sat on the sofa with your family or you're having dinner, if someone does message you or there is a notification from Teams, you are on quiet so it doesn't pop up, which means you're not distracted from your own time and get back into work mode.
And I think from my perspective, when you're in Microsoft Teams, but this also extends to other platforms such as Yammer or other communication platforms that you're utilizing, the really important thing to do is you've got to protect your time and protect where you're getting involved. Certainly what we see during very early Microsoft Teams adoption projects, and when people are kind of exploring what's going on, is we see this kind of mass creation of Teams, fragmentation of places where information may be stored. And what I really urge you to do is to focus on actually what is needed. What do you need to be involved in and what don't you need to be involved in? Make sure that you are only kind of joining the teams that are relevant to you, that are meaningful to you, and choosing those that you choose to show and hide and managing the notifications for those appropriately. And the same goes if you use a platform like Yammer or maybe an alternative platform like Facebook Workplace or something like that. It can be really good to be involved in some of those social communities, but understand actually when do you need to get notified about those, which ones are the priority and which ones aren't.
So then, as well as having your notifications set in Teams, it's also really crucial that you have tools around that to help you focus, to cut out the noise and stop people distracting you. So the first one is noise cancelling headsets. At Computer World, we use Poly. I know they're another sponsor of Commsverse, so head over to their booth if you want to have a chat with them. We're a Poly partner as well, so you can talk to us. But noise cancelling headsets with really good microphones as well on meetings are crucial to just cut out that noise and help you get in the zone when you're trying to. Something at Computer World we use as well is status flags. So we use the one that's shown on a screen on Barry's presentation here. It's called Luxafor Lights. And they're really simple. They tie into Teams and your Outlook calendar. And when you're in a meeting, it will come up as red. You can set this as well. So it just means that if someone comes to walk over to your desk and sees your flag on red, they know not to talk to you. The worst thing is when you clearly have your head down in something, you've got your headphones on and you're focused, and someone says, "I'm really sorry to interrupt, but it's only going to take 5 minutes." By that point, you're already distracted. You've come out of that. That's the 23 minutes Barry was talking about that's going to take you to get back into that focus. With this, having a flag on your screen, people walk over, see the flag and walk away. They can then come and chat to you when they see it on green as well. We have actually implemented this slightly at home throughout Computer World as well. A lot of us have children. So what we've done is we've got the Bluetooth ones, which is the one in green on the screen here. And we've put them outside our studies or wherever we're working and turned those to red. We've tried really hard to teach the kids at home that if it's on red, don't come in because we're on meetings, etc. There's a few slip-ups, but it is actually really useful that if you are trying to focus, if you are on a call, that your child isn't walking in behind you. So status flags are really useful tools as well. And then another thing is stop multitasking. There's that age-old thing that people who can multitask get more done, but actually research shows that if you try and multitask whilst you're getting something done, you're actually 40% less productive. So just taking that time to focus on one job, get that done in the way you want it perfectly, or just get it done and then move on to the next thing. You're going to get much more done trying to set it out in times rather than trying to cram it all in at one time and finish it all together.
So I think from my perspective, when you are looking at things like unitasking, important elements to consider are things like how you manage your email during this time. And I think this can be one of the biggest challenges. So hopefully everyone that's attending today is either using Microsoft Teams or is looking to use it. Maybe you're using Yammer as well. And hopefully you'll be familiar with the Microsoft loops of communication. So we've got the outer loop of communication, that broad communication that is hopefully going into Yammer. We have the inner loop of communication sort of around teams and collaboration with people that you know that is happening inside Teams. And then we have the direct and focused communication that we should be seeing in Outlook or via email. And one of the things that I would encourage is turn your email off or close it down. Don't be a victim to your inbox where effectively you are just constantly waiting for the next email to come in and you are allowing your attention to be distracted to your inbox. agree for 2 or 3 times during the day where you will do a batch process of emails where you will go through it, you will file them accordingly, maybe use the flag functionality, and we'll come to that a little bit further. So within the to-do application, you can actually see those flagged emails, and those that you can't deal with at that time, you will come back to at an agreed point during the day. And hopefully by stopping being that victim of your inbox and agreeing certain times to do it, you will be able to be ultimately more productive. And then the responses that you are giving via email will hopefully be more thought out. They'll be more considered and more valuable to those people that are contacting you. Ultimately, what we want people to think is if there is something urgent and they really need to get hold of you, utilize the other methods that are available to have that interaction with you. And one of the important things that I think it is important to agree with the status symbols, it is important that you respect your status. So if you are busy and you don't want to be distracted, maybe you have got a Luxfor light and it is coming on red and someone does try to distract you, say to them, oh, actually, as you can see at the moment, I am on red. I'm quite busy at the moment. Can I come back to you later? If you allow them to distract you whilst you are on that status, you're almost creating the problem for yourself. So one of the things that I would really urge everyone to do, those of you that want to be more productive, is come up with a methodology that works for you. Now, whether that is just documenting the way that you would like to work, the way that you would like to be handling all the input that we get today. We're kind of in this stage where we get so much input in our daily lives. We get emails, we get chat notifications in Teams, we get conversations in Teams, we get posts that are happening inside Yammer, we get Facebook, we get LinkedIn, we get people walking up to us, we get my daughter coming through the door. We have a lot of input going on in our lives, and that's before we even get personal input, tickets allocated to us and things like that. And ultimately, we've got to take everything in, we've got to process it, and we've got to decide what we want to do with it. Is this something that we just need to park for later, but know that we have parked it so we can come back to it? Is this something that I need to deal with now? What do I need to be dealing with today? And my recommendation would be to look at things like Getting Things Done by David Allen or Productivity Ninja by Graham Olcott. These are 2 fantastic resources that I use every day in my life to figure out what it is that I need to prioritize at any time. And in the middle of the screen, you can see the core productivity model from the Productivity Ninja. And this is all around capturing and collecting everything that is on your mind. It's a really great thing to do before you go to sleep at night, just to make sure you're not going to sleep with loads of things in your mind and you're able to get them down so you can actually relax. Also, maybe do it at the end of the day. So when you're trying to switch off in the evening, get everything down. You could use To-Do or you could use Planner, both available in 365 to do this. Don't worry about what you're going to do next. Just capture it all in an inbox so you are able to go through that and file it later. Now, the next stage of the model is to then be able to organize it. So once we've got everything in that inbox, then go through it and go, OK, so what do I need to do to get this to the next stage? Do I need to schedule something? Do I need to meet with someone to be able to do this? Is this just for reference and I need to look at it at some point in the future? And if you are using Planner, you can quite easily then organize things into buckets. So maybe have a reference bucket, have a to do today bucket, have to be scheduled later bucket. And you can almost very quickly get everything scheduled. So you thought about not ultimately what needs to be achieved in the long term, but what needs to be achieved in the short term to help you reach that goal. And I really like the Productivity Ninja for this. It's a very simple model. You can go through very, very quickly. And whilst I can't say I religiously go through this, whenever I'm feeling like everything's getting on top of me, I turn to this. I open up Microsoft Planner, I get everything off my mind, and I make sure that I schedule it to make sure that I can come to it at the right time. And ultimately, it helps me focus on what is important today at this individual time. We then want to make sure that we get regular review points in where we're reviewing where we are. Is there anything else that needs to be collected? Do we need to organise anything where we're setting up dates and times where things needs to happen? Is there anything that we can make sure we're delegating to others in our teams? Ultimately, we probably have people around us that are capable of helping us. Maybe it's even their job or their role to be helping us. But ultimately, if we can't organise ourselves and think what is the best use of our time, how are we going to make those delegation decisions? And then ultimately, we've got to get on and do it using those skills that Megan mentioned earlier. So we're going to make sure that we're really focusing, that we have got the notifications there, that we're unitasking and we're not multitasking, and we're making sure we remove the distractions from around us. And then we have the tools available to us to make sure that we can be successful with this. But my advice would be to make sure that you pick the tools and you stick to it. We almost can get to this stage where we become productivity geeks, and actually we're more interested in finding new ways to be productive, new ways to organize ourselves, new ways to be able to collaborate with people rather than just getting on and doing to it. And we've got to make sure that we find something that works and we use it religiously. Now, some of the things that work for me and some of the workflows that have been really important to me are things like the Outlook app that is available on Android, on iOS. And I use this when I have micro sections of time to be able to process my emails. I've configured the swipe gestures that are available, swipe left to be able to flag an email, and swipe right to be able to archive the email. And if I had 2 minutes available, like when I was waiting to start this presentation, I would quickly go through my inbox, swipe left and right, and deal with everything in my inbox. I will then use the To-Do application, which again is available on your computer as well as iOS and Android, to be able to review all of my tasks that are in my task list, whether that's in To-Do or whether that's in Planner, but also the emails, and we can schedule all of those things. So To-Do starts bringing all of those elements together. So when you're at the point then to be productive, to get on and do something, you can really spend the time on those emails that need your time. You can deal with the tasks that you've scheduled for today. So my advice would be to have a look at the swipe gestures inside Outlook, have a look at To-Do, have a look at Planner and figure out what would work for you. You then can take it to the next level and think how your team is going to work and how you're going to engage more people around you. I'll pass over to Megan and look at distractions.
So as Barry and I have spoken about, there's so many distractions now that can come up and distract you. And there's certain things that you can do, like Barry said, closing Outlook. So I'm somebody that closes Outlook. I check it at the start of the day for 15 minutes, but the first 15 minutes of my day are starting that. I answer all the emails I need to, and then I'll close that for the rest of the day until the end of the day, see what I need to catch up on. So realistically, I only spend 30 to 45 minutes on Outlook per day, where there are some people that will be spending all their day there. Making sure that you have your status set to make sure everyone's aware, but things like the Forest app. So this is the image on the screen here. This is just an app you can have on your phone. So whilst you've closed Outlook, whilst you've got your head in something, your phone is most likely popping up with WhatsApp notifications from your group chat. You've got Facebook notifications from people tagging you and stuff. And actually, they can be even more detrimental to your focus than work stuff, because at least you're doing work stuff with that, whereas personal things can pop up. So Forest is a great application that almost locks your phone from any other application being used. You set the time that you want to. So, for example, you can set it for 25 minutes. And for those 25 minutes, I'm focusing. That means if you complete the 25 minutes without using your phone, you get a lovely tree, as you can see on the screen there in your forest. But if you do open your phone for something more than 10 seconds, your tree actually dies within your forest, and nobody wants a dead tree. So it's silly things like that that are going to help you keep your focus, stop you picking up your phone just to scroll through Facebook aimlessly. There's countless amount of times that people have spent hours on Facebook and not known where their hours gone, and actually helps you keep that focus. You can build your trees up, and it actually shows you how many trees, how many coins you get, etc. And what is really nice about an app like this is when you reach a certain amount of coins, you can pay for them for a real tree to be planted as well, which is a nice little touch for the environment.
So one of the big things that I wanted to talk about was Microsoft My Analytics. Now, if you haven't seen this, it's available to most subscriptions in Microsoft 365 with various degrees of insights that it will give you. You can access it from the Office portal, so go to office.com, look for My Analytics under all applications. And this is really, I don't want to say Big Brother watching you, because that makes it sound quite suspicious, but this is really someone just watching over you, looking after your well-being, and just giving you some guidance as to how you're spending your time to help you review it. Now, what I would really urge people to do is to use this as a tool with your colleagues, with the team that you're in, to be able to compare results and compare actually how are you able to help each other switch off at the end of the day and spend time being as productive as possible. So as we can see inside of here, we've got 4 different quadrants. We've got focus, which is all about the time that you have uninterrupted to actually do some work. I think people can forget that we've actually got to do some work and not just attend meetings and collaborate. We actually need time to be able to get on and do some work, create some output. We've got well-being, which is all about the time that you're able to switch off at the end of the day to make sure that you have time away from work. We have the network, which is all about the people that you're proactively working with. And we have collaboration, which is looking at the time that you are spending in meetings and working with others and making sure we've got the right balance around that. So it's really important that we have the right mix. But what also is really interesting is that Microsoft integrate this with their other applications, and it's really prevalent inside Outlook, where it will give you insights, where we're able to kind of just think about, actually, is what I'm doing now the right thing? Are there other areas I should be concentrating on? Am I actually going to be distracting someone else by sending this email at 10 o'clock at night? And actually, it's not just my own well-being I need to be thinking about. I need to be thinking about the well-being of those around us. So first of all here, looking a little bit closer at the well-being element, and hands up, I'm probably the worst person. So do as I say and not as I do, I think the saying is. But this highlights the times out of hours that I've been able to switch off and really concentrate on family life because I've not been engaging in work activity. It's tracking meetings, emails and calls out of hours, all getting the statistics via the Graph API and looking inside 365. But what is also important to knowledge is this is only available to you. This isn't Big Brother watching you. Your manager doesn't have access to this as well. This is just giving you an insight. You'll get an email once a week on a Monday morning, just giving you a little bit more information so you can keep track of it. And this actually, when I brought this up on screen, when I was presenting this to the first time I presented it, this was actually a real shock to me. I'd managed to switch off out of hours for 2 days out of 28. That's appalling. Now, I'm a very busy person. I'm an owner of a business. I've got a lot going on outside of hours. I don't think I'm ever going to get to the point where I truly are able to switch off every single day of the week. But what I've been able to do since implementing this is I've managed to take that from 2 days out of 28 to 10 days out of 28. And what you can see here is I've gained my weekends back. My weekends simply do not involve work. And Friday evenings, I'm also being successful. I need to have a look and understand why I'm not being so successful and why I am having meetings outside of hours. And I need to have a look at that a little bit further. But by seeing these statistics and getting that shock, that's mean that I've been able to make some real changes in my life. First of all, I now have a work phone as well as a personal mobile phone. That means I can switch off work at the end of the day. My work email is now not on my personal phone, so I don't have the desire or the ability to be able to reply to and read email outside of hours. Without this information, would I have done that? And would I have gained that important time with my family? Most probably not. We then get productivity insights, and we can see some of those examples here. So I can see the first insight is last week you worked on 7 cloud documents outside of working hours. That's something I should really look to stop. I need to make sure that I respond to meetings on time. I've not been very good at doing that. I'm very guilty of just turning up and not really letting people know that if I will be there. And then 61% of your active collaborators are outside your company. That's really good. In my role, I need to spend time dealing with or speaking with my customers rather than necessarily speaking with those inside of the business. So I need to think, actually, for my job role, is that the right mix? Should I be spending more time with people outside my business and less time with people inside the business? Or as a manager, should I be looking to spend more time with my team and enabling them to engage with our customers? So we can look at these things and get real statistics. And on the right hand side, we can see the insights integrated with Outlook Web Access or the modern experience with email with Outlook, and also the classic Outlook client. So we're seeing a few things here. It's flagged emails that have come in where there's an activity and maybe I haven't responded to it. Unread important emails. Maybe there's an important person that I need to add to the importance. So emails and tasks are flagged. Do we need to follow up on requests? Do we need an insight as to who is in the meeting that we're going to, so we can make sure that we are best prepared for that meeting? Now, ultimately, these changes will only work if you agree some rules across your colleagues and across your business. Depending on your size of the business, you might just want to do it in your department, but maybe in a smaller business or in a larger business that are really taking employee well-being seriously, you can agree some well-being rules across the business. So one of the big changes is actually, as a manager, if you want to send emails out of hours, that's absolutely fine. But think about the impact to the employees. You might be willing to work outside of hours, but actually, if they see an email from you, does that distract them from their weekend? Are you detracting from their ability to be able to disconnect from work? So why don't you use the delayed send option so you don't interrupt them? You can do what you need to do at that time. That might be the right thing for you, but delay send it until 9 o'clock on a working day to make sure that they get it at the right time. If you receive an email outside of business hours or a chat conversation, agree expectations. Certainly if it comes from a senior manager, there can be an expectation, well, if I don't reply to this, maybe they don't think I'm dedicated, or maybe they think I'm being lazy, or maybe it's really urgent because they've messaged me and they wouldn't have messaged me if out of hours or whilst I'm on holiday if it wasn't urgent, when actually it was just the next thing for your manager to do. And by setting the rules that, look, if you're on holiday, if it's out of hours, it is okay not to reply. Reply at your next convenient time with inside working hours. If that's agreed and that's discussed, people are going to feel a lot less pressure to have to reply out of hours, which is great for their well-being. Agree expectations around lunch breaks and holidays. Make people know, look, we want you to take a lunch break. We want you to switch off. We don't want you to reply to Teams messages that are sent during hours, out of hours. Make people aware that if they are going to send a Teams chat message, that if it is important, you will follow up with an email. Don't set that expectation that people need to check multiple places to see what is going on. And then, as Megan has already mentioned, make sure that you're setting your status appropriately and that people respect it and you enforce it. Because if you don't enforce it, as I've already mentioned, it just won't be used appropriately. So over to Megan for this slide.
So we're aware that was a lot of information for you guys to take in, and you've probably got a lot of information coming in throughout this whole conference. So what we are offering is a strategy planning session with our technical or adoption specialists within Computer World. It's complimentary. It's an hour session where you can just explain where you are on your journey, where you are with your technical configurations, or even where you are with your well-being. If you're starting to take well-being seriously, if you're starting to implement some well-being things within your organization and want to understand how you can improve that, or like Barry said, make sure it's not just an empty promise and you're actually following up on these rules that you're setting, then feel free to book a strategy planning session with us. To do that, all you need to do is scan the QR code and complete that form, and there'll be a chance for you to select that you want a strategy planning session. Again, as I said, you can win a Lego Technic Land Rover Defender as well in the same link, which we'll be announcing the winner tomorrow at 5 p.m. Also, please feel free to give your feedback for Comsverse as well. We can always improve our presentations from your feedback, so please do give us our feedback there. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you ever so much for everyone joining us. I really hope you've been able to take something away from today's presentation that will help you be more productive, to switch off, to help those around you. Go and look at My Analytics, go and see how that can help you. Have a look at Productivity Ninja or Getting Things Done and figure out what your methodology is to help you be more productive and focus on what really matters to you. Get everything off your mind by using Planner, using the swipe gestures inside Outlook to make sure you're prioritizing what you're doing and what you're concentrating on. Thank you ever so much for joining us, and I look forward to talking to you after today's event.
Barry, Megan, thank you very much. You helped me, even if you don't know yet. You helped me because your session was very interesting. I have posted the links to the breakout session into our question and answer. So, guys, if you would like to talk directly with Megan and Barry, please join the breakout session. We don't have any questions, but still feel free to post the question if you have any. But I believe that it will be best in the breakout session, right? Barry, Megan.
That's all good for me. Thank you ever so much for your
Perfect.
time, David. Much appreciated.
So have a nice day. Have a nice rest of the conference. Comsverse, and cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.